Hi, everybody. It's me again. Welcome to my podcast, Stacy Personally Speaking, where my thoughts become known. This is season 1, episode 174 of the Journey 365 series. Today's episode is about 40 seconds more, new learning, and time is money. Morning came so quickly. I'm not even sure why my body insists on getting up before the break of day. But it's not a complaint. It's a sign of health and consistency. I started my devotion a little after 6 o'clock and ended by 7. There are many distractions in this world that would want to tell the believer that the prosperity or the seeming prosperity of the wicked is not being noticed by God. But be not deceived. God is not mocked, for whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Galatians 6 verses 7 to 9 of the King James Version. May we do as God commands, as Pastor Stanley says, and leave the outcome to God. May God strengthen us to do His will. I felt like I had so much time after my devotion, but I couldn't allow myself to be deceived. I got my leg and back exercises done this morning and they were so welcomed. Of course, I did the abbreviated versions. I was able to put away some laundry, but not too much. Following that, I had my shower, then made my smoothie with the mostly lettuce vegetable salad from last night's free dinner. This meant that my smoothie wasn't green at all. In fact, it was a pale orange color. At 8:05, I was still drinking my smoothie and I was going at a very easy pace. There was no rush for me this morning, even though I didn't even know what part of the lesson I was going to teach today. I hadn't seen the students in the first 3 classes in 2 weeks. It has all been so confusing these days, trying to keep up with who had done what worksheets already. There's another high school in very close proximity to the private high school that I teach at. I cannot say, however, if it is a private or public high school, but it is very common in Japan to have multiple schools in the same vicinity, like very close. And so this morning, like all the mornings, my path would cross with several other students on their bicycles coming from the opposite direction as I made my way to work. By now, you would have realized that I left out much later than normal, yeah? As I passed a group of 5 boys who are evidently in their final year or their 3rd year, I heard one say in Japanese, "Ato 40 byou desu." They had 40 seconds before the bell rang. In other words, they were so calculated, like 40 seconds, down to the very seconds before school would start. I marveled though. I marveled because I could see such a similarity with myself in this regard, down to the nitty-gritty. I'm so calculated. I got to work at about 8:35 at my desk. Yes. It felt good not to go in so early. I hadn't left my house until 8:10 and I was in no rush. When I got to my desk, I packed my work bag and took my personal bag with me instead of taking out a gazillion things out of it and then putting it in my desk. At the end of the lesson, I always had to put back those same gazillion things back into my personal bag to leave. Time is money. So I better start managing it better. Today I had all 4 classes. It felt so strange to have everyone after only teaching classes in the 4th period alone last week. Some students had finished some of their worksheets, while others hadn't even finished the first one. And they were in the same class. This creates even more of a challenge and disparity with trying to keep everyone occupied. I had to skip an entire lesson for the students who had missed the 1st to 3rd periods last time because everyone needed to start writing their presentations today. It's been a ride, I tell you. But we are all coming through on the other side. Even though I have to push some of them. Once all my classes were finished, I packed my bags, cleaned the board, closed the windows, turned off the AC and the lights. That took me an extra 10 minutes or so because in between the 3rd and last class, I went downstairs and made extra copies of the worksheets that they kept forgetting. Being absent from the class, even though it was only 1 week, also impacted on the students. Quite a number of them had left the worksheets at home. And today, like no other day, they could see I was visibly annoyed. I told them I was angry. Of all the days, today was not the day to have left those worksheets. Nevertheless, I ensured everyone had what they needed to prepare adequately. I made my way down to the staff room where I was expecting someone to assist me with the iPad. They had already been there waiting on my arrival. The next 20 to 30 minutes was spent sorting out my ability to use the different functions of the iPad provided by the school on the school's platform. This meant that I could provide copies of the worksheets on the iPad instead of printing them out. It will take some getting used to, but I am happy for the most part to have gotten this opportunity, which had sprung up from me having to teach 1 class on Zoom last week. My iPad usually sits on my desk until I return to work. The next time I work there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. As a result of this, it doesn't get charged and it's always struggling. It's never been charged 100% since I've been there. Today, I asked the teacher who sits in front of me to unplug the iPad and cover it in the box before they left since I was leaving before them. The teacher said I could take it home, but I didn't want to. I've never had any discussions about whether or not I was allowed to take the iPad home. But in that moment, I didn't want to take it home with me because I knew I would spend countless hours trying to figure it all out and uploading all sorts of worksheets to it. And I'm not too versed on anything Apple. Not too versed at all. But what I will try to do is to go in a few minutes earlier and in between classes at work, try to familiarize myself as best as possible with the iPad. Time is money and they are not paying me for any prep time. Anyway, I left work a little after 1:30, which was quite late, but of course I knew why. I was quite hungry. And so as soon as I got home, I added some ice to the leftover smoothie, a little water, and operated the NutriBullet once more. While I was doing that, the fries, vegetable balls, and a piece of chicken were in the toaster oven being warmed. This was food that I had brought home from my friend's house, the free food, yes, which had been much too much for us to finish after 2 separate orders. It was quite convenient for me to just warm up something instead of having to think about what to prepare and then having to prepare it. And the truth is, I've never made space for delivery and frequent fast food consumption in my life. But it seems there's a place for them. I will, however, continue to make them the exceptions and not the norm. I enjoyed a few pieces of chocolate after my late lunch, then responded to a few messages and emails once I had settled down. I kept reminding myself that I have work at 8 o'clock tonight. I still have some laundry to put away, and so I proceeded to do that. I know that I will have to remind myself of the student that I will have online this evening and prepare accordingly. It's another new student. As always, when the days are full, there's much that needs to be talked about. And as always, thank you for listening to me ramble on and on. Thank you for journeying with me on today's entry. Please drop a comment below and share this with somebody who you think might enjoy it. If you prefer to read the entry, please subscribe or follow my blog, stacypersonallyspeaking.wordpress.com, and it will be delivered right into your inbox. As always, thank you for checking this out. Stay safe and God bless you. Bye-bye.